Press the button, my friend.
The Out of Bounds Show is live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge in the Bank Plus studio.
Check it out.
Good morning. Welcome in to all you crazy people. I love how passionate you are about your team and your players and the bowl games. That's good. The Out of Bounds Show is driven by your next Ram truck, Jeep Grand Cherokee or Jeep Wrangler, or pre-owned SUVs or trucks, Mac Hike in Flowood. Now, they're loaded up with inventory. So if you're in the market, MacHikeFlowwood.com. Mac Hike in Flowood for your next truck or SUV. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Happy New Year to you and your family. Hope you had a good weekend. For the Ole Miss fans that went to New Orleans, I hope you had a great time. It looked like from the pictures that other than the game, you celebrated big. Great food, maybe some beverages, and hit some yummy places to eat. Great town, great venue. That's one thing about the Sugar Bowl. Proximity, Caesars Superdome, and a great food town. Even with the mayor trying to destroy the city. I mean, I was just there last week. Great food town, fun hotels, little pockets of little different, districts and areas, obviously the Quarter, the Warehouse District, Midtown, Uptown, Frenchman Street, just eclectic, cool, as long as you stay safe. Well, you just got to watch out for you and your crew when you're roaming around. Be careful. I've been down there a million times. Knock on wood, I haven't had any issues. But some of the best culinary and chefs in the world, some of the best food and redfish and trout and po' boys and gumbo and, a beat of Purple Haze and all the good stuff that New Orleans brings to the table. And the craziness. Gosh, the people watching is nuts. We just did it last week, and I think, my son was like, this place is weird and crazy. I'm like, it is, buddy. We found a place where we could shoot pool. Oh. He beat me. He beat me, then beat Wendy, and then beat me again. I was sitting there going, this is not cool. But we found this cool little spot. We stay at the Roosevelt. Again, shout out. I'm a Hilton Honors guy. Hilton Jackson County Line Road. But we found this place to play pool. That's as you're getting into the Warehouse District, the Roosevelt Soul, on the other side of Canal. Because the other side of Canal is the Quarter, as you know, Blake. And he ends up pool sharking me. He's like, Dad, let's put some money on it. I'm like, hold on. My money is my money and it's your money. How does this work? You're expensive. Your sister's expensive. And
you're a loser either way.
Yeah, I'm like, hold on. I'm putting $20 on this game.
On both sides.
And I'm not winning anything.
Nope.
Anyway, we had a great time. It was so fun to find a cool pool place, because we used to have when the country, and especially this area of the country, was more rustic and rural and rough around the edges, there were pool halls everywhere. Now, some of them were, be careful, but you could dance. We did a lot of that when I was growing up, shooting pool in places in high school and college. And I don't think you see as much of that today. I will say this, Blake, the Palace Cafe was not open. It broke my heart. I don't know if they have closed. And the Palace Cafe is this super cool restaurant on Canal, and it's one of the best people watching places in the country. And you can either sit downstairs or upstairs, and you're right on the sidewalk. And so when New Orleans is buzzing, they've got some turtle soup and some other things and so on. But when New Orleans is hopping, it is a fun place to hang out. And it looked like it was closed for good. I need to double check on that because that was kind of an iconic place and had been there for years. And I know they had made, millions and millions of dollars in that restaurant just because the overwhelming majority of the time it was packed. We're going to go to the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale guest line. Welcome in our friend Brad Edwards, 25 years at ESPN. His book, Dynasty, on Saban and Alabama football. He rolled that out late in the summer. And Brad, good morning. Happy New Year. How are you?
Yeah, Happy New Year. Good morning. It was another predictable semifinal round, huh?
Well,
it's crazy. I mean, I guess we were for the most part expecting it. I know I had told you I didn't think Michigan could play with Georgia at all. Some people did. But at the end of the day, it's amazing how we get this year after year after year, and yet there's so much momentum to increase the playoff field, and I understand the reasons why, but on a certain level, it doesn't go with the results.
No, we don't get many Georgia-Oklahoma semifinal games, Brad. Where it's
unfortunately
compelling.
I mean, that was an awesome game.
All right, so where are you psychologically? I was listening to some of your friends and colleagues talk after the games had been played, and you're right, it wasn't interesting on Friday. I thought Saturday was awesome with some of those games. But bottom line is, where are you? Georgia is still the favorite. Saban's going to play that up. Herb Street was arguing that psychologically, though, this could play into Georgia's favor because Smart could use the fact that they got beat by 17 points and gave up 24 points in the second quarter in the SEC championship game. Where are you as we head into a week from or 8 days from today, the national championship game, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the advantage is Georgia's because Georgia is the better team. They didn't play, look, I mean, Alabama certainly had something to do with it the first time. But the very first game, Alabama had to win. It was a must-win situation for them. The backs were against the wall to keep the season alive. They came out and played like it. Georgia, to some extent, played like a team that didn't have to win, and that was what you got. And now this is everything. And so I would think that the other advantage for Georgia is they're going to make some adjustments based on what happened in the first game, the way that they tried to play Alabama defensively, which obviously didn't work, at least especially didn't work while Mechie was in the game. Alabama, remember, after Mechie went out, they didn't move the ball nearly as well in the second half. And so, there's that part of it. But on the other side, can Alabama replicate what they did? I mean, think about Alabama not only had no turnovers against Georgia, they didn't allow any sacks. They had 1 3 and out. I think if the game had kept going on, 4 weeks ago or whatever in Atlanta, Alabama wouldn't have been able to keep that up. Like at some point, Georgia's defense is too good for you to continue to play that well against them. And the combination of that and Mechie being out, I don't know. I don't think Alabama's offense can replicate what it did the first time around. And then, for Georgia offensively, they moved the ball all game. They just had 2 huge interceptions in the second half. One of them ended up, at the very least, denying them an opportunity to kick a field goal, and the other one was returned for an Alabama touchdown. So you put all that stuff together, and even though it was a 17-point win, I don't think it was as big of a blowout as the final score made it suggest. And so to me, I just think Georgia has to clean up a few things. And I think it's almost impossible to expect Alabama to be able to go out there and replicate what they were able to do the first time.
Can I play devil's advocate with you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Brad Edwards on the Out of Bounds show. Okay. So you said just a minute ago, Georgia's better. And there's no doubt in several positions it looks like they have more talent. Can I argue, though, that Bama has the better quarterback,
Yeah,
which is
they
the
do.
most important position on the field, and they have the better coach. So when I present it to you like that, that's two things in Alabama, and they've been there, and they've done it, and Georgia psychologically hasn't gotten through Bama. So when I say it like that, do you still think, yeah, but Bo, Georgia is the better team, and it's such an edge that I'm still confident that Georgia can make this happen this time?
Yeah, so the reasons that you just gave, that Alabama has the better coach and they have the better quarterback, those are obviously significant advantages. They might not make Alabama the better team overall, but they are significant. And those are the reasons I thought Alabama had some chance the first time they played. Now, if you were to ask me, do you feel like Alabama has a better chance now, or did you feel like they had a better chance going into the first game? I feel like they have a way better chance now than I did, the first time. The first time I thought like everything had to just be, had to fall into place a very specific way, and Georgia was going to have to make this mistake and that mistake and everything. And Alabama just played better than I thought they were capable of playing based on what I'd seen in the regular season. And so I have more confidence in Alabama being able to do it this time than I did the first time. But I still say Georgia's the better team because, to me, better is based on consistency and what you see week after week and the ability to replicate it. Okay, we haven't seen Alabama. I mean, I guess Ole Miss fans would say, well, we saw Alabama play like that against us. And maybe they played something close to that against Ole Miss, and they played well against State. So maybe the Mississippi audience isn't the best one to vouch for what Alabama has been week after week this season. But if you've watched them every week, the Georgia game was kind of an outlier.
Sure.
The Cincinnati game wasn't great. I mean, they were just so physically superior that they were able to impose their will at the line of scrimmage, but it wasn't a great performance. And so that's where I say that Georgia's the better team. Now, the better team doesn't always win, and they didn't win the first time, and they might not win again because sometimes it comes down to matchups and little things, and I think your point is maybe the biggest thing for Alabama. I don't think Alabama is going to go out there and take it to Georgia the way that they did 4 weeks ago. I think if Alabama wins this game, it's going to be more because Georgia doesn't handle the pressure. As I said, the pressure the first time was on Alabama in that Georgia didn't have to win. Okay, and Alabama handled that pressure really well. It's possible that Georgia won't take that situation and use it the way that Alabama did this time now that they have to win. Of course, both teams have to win. I mean, it's the last game. It's for the whole thing. And we know this. I think we talked about this before the first meeting, which is that ever since the national championship game 4 years ago, when Georgia had the lead on Alabama, Tua came in, Alabama makes the comeback, 2nd and 26 in overtime, etc. From that moment forward, Kirby Smart's time in Athens has been all about one thing, and that is winning a national championship. SEC championships were not going to be good enough to satisfy the fan base. It was only going to be winning that first national title since 1980. And that's where they are. They still have the opportunity to do it, but with that comes a lot of pressure. And when you combine that with Alabama having had their number over the years that Saban has been there, not just with Smart, but even before then, it does create a situation where you wonder, like you were saying, is Alabama in their heads? And if Georgia doesn't handle that part well, I could see Georgia choking. I can't see Alabama going out there and looking like the better team for 4 quarters again, but I could see Georgia going out there and just
fair enough.
gacking.
Yeah. Brad Edwards on the Out of Bounds show, 25 years with ESPN. He joins us on the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale guest line. I kind of lean to where you're going. Well, I think you're going. I expect it to be a much tighter game, and I think it goes, all the way into the fourth quarter. And I don't know who's going to win, but it may be a matchup thing, Brad, Bama may just be – look, Georgia just hasn't faced any really good defenses throughout the year. And I know Michigan was good, but they don't have the same players. And maybe Alabama, just on a Stetson Bennett type led team, they're going to get the best of you. Could you see that?
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing about Alabama is that outside of that, third game of the year in Gainesville, when Florida was doing a lot of quarterback run,
right?
And I think it caught them off guard, to tell you the truth. They didn't seem to be ready for it, and Florida ran for 200-something yards on them. Outside of that, Alabama has done a really good job defending the run. I want to say they're like top 3 or 4. Their rush defense numbers are very, very similar to Georgia's. So they're a tough team to run on, and they have the same types of bodies in the trenches. That's why they're tough to run on. Like, they and Georgia look a lot alike. And so, we know that's where Georgia wants to have success first and foremost, is running the ball. And we know they can do it through the air. Obviously, Bowers had a huge game against Alabama the first time, especially in the second half. So I don't know how Alabama's going to, kind of scheme to make him less effective. But it starts with slowing down the running game. And I feel confident that Alabama can do that, just like I feel confident that Georgia can do that to Alabama, is slow down their running game. And I think what some people would say is if you take those two things and you assume both defenses are going to be difficult to run on, then what you have is a Bryce Young versus Stetson Bennett matchup. And at that point, how do you not like Alabama? And if Alabama had its full complement of receivers, I would be more inclined to like Alabama. I'm not sure what Alabama has left beyond Jameson Williams. I mean, for those who've watched Alabama closely, all season long, they have been expecting these really hyped freshman and sophomore receivers to make a big difference this year. We knew with Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle gone to the NFL, there was going to be an opportunity for people to step up. We thought they would be really deep at that position. But every game, it has been the same 3 guys. It was John Mechie and Jameson Williams and Slade Bolden in the slot. And none of these hotshot recruits have been able to break through and get much playing time at all. And even with John Mechie out in the game the other day, Ja'Cory Brooks caught one long pass for a touchdown, but nobody else in that group has been consistent. You reach a point where it becomes evident when you watch a team over and over that a quarterback has confidence in certain receivers and doesn't look for other guys. I mean, even when it came down to third down, like just move the chains type situations, Bryce Young was still looking for 2 guys. It was Jameson Williams and Slade Bolden. And Jameson Williams has never been his third down guy before, but with Mechie out, that's what he became. And so I don't see the quarterback having the confidence to really look for one of those other guys. And to me, for them to come close to doing what they did against Georgia 4 weeks ago through the air, he's going to have someone else at receiver have a big game. It cannot be just Jameson Williams.
All right, let's switch gears. Brad Edwards on the Out of Bounds show and the Bell's 2 Hearted Ale guest line. What's your takeaway with how Michigan feels today? They had a wonderful season. Got to give Harbaugh all the credit in the world, restructuring his staff and so on. But it was more than obvious how far away they still are.
Yep.
From going and getting a Georgia or a Bama. What are your thoughts there, Brad?
I think Michigan feels okay because at the end of the day, the season was about beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten. And those 2 things, for Michigan right now, where their program is now, to do those 2 things, and I put the 2 together because I do think even after they beat Ohio State, if they had turned around and choked in the Big Ten championship game, it would have felt somewhat empty to not take advantage of that opportunity. But because they did both, I think they still are really pleased with how the season went, that they were able to accomplish that. And I think they look at the playoff experience, and while sure, it was evident that they've got a long way to go on both sides of the ball to get to that Georgia-Alabama level, I think they also recognize that their quarterback was not good enough, and maybe it starts there. I think they're fooling themselves if that's the way that they feel, but I think a lot of them do feel that way, that it really just kind of starts with the QB, and that'll solve some of the problems. But I think the personnel issues are larger than that. Now, I mean, look, when Harbaugh first got there and they had some, top 5-ish recruiting classes, maybe, I don't know if they were ever as high as 5. I want to say they were, at least one class was that high. I think they really were dreaming of national championships and having moments where they had the opportunity to contend. But given how everything's gone the past, 2 or 3 years, whatever it was before this year, I think they're just thrilled to have gotten the Ohio State monkey off their backs and won a Big Ten title for the first time in seemingly forever. And at least, gotten that measuring stick to just see how far they still have to go. And I don't know if there's a reason to be optimistic that they can close that gap. And I think in a way, it's kind of worse that it happened to them against Georgia. If you get into a playoff and that happens to you against Alabama, you just say, well, in a few years, Saban will be retired and then Alabama comes back to the pack. But when it happens against Georgia, I think there's a different type of reality to it, which is the best teams in the SEC are just going to be that good year after year. And it's a matter of getting to that level. It's not just Alabama. So I think that's kind of how Michigan is. I think for the most part, they're still happy with the season. But for those who are still clinging to this idea that they're a national championship program, it is a little bit of a kick in the butt. Tells you how far you still have to go.
Yeah, I think they had a great year. I agree with you. And if a fan, has a little bit of logic and reason, then he says it was a great year and like you said, beat Ohio State and so on. All right, buddy. Is it snowing up there?
No, we actually got, about an inch on Christmas Eve, and that's the only accumulation we've had since the cold began in October or whatever. And it's been pretty mild. I mean, I don't think there's any snow in the forecast. It's been warm. I think it was in the 50s yesterday. So, one of those weird kind of winters up here, it looks like.
Yeah. It was 80 here on Saturday, and it went to 30 last night. So, just one.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to do some stuff to the sinuses.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, we'll talk again soon. Thank you, buddy.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
Brad Edwards on the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale guest line. Talking about a great beer with a steak or a cigar. Speaking of, bar from Havana Smoke Shop yesterday while I was watching some NFL Red Zone. Oh, yeah, I did. And it snowed a little bit yesterday. I mean, it was a little bit of snow, sleet, stuff, whatever. I mean, yeah, crazy weather. The show is brought to you by Havana Smoke Shop. Premium cigars. Premium cigars at Havana Smoke Shop, I-55 North in Jackson, and across from Shaggy's at the Reservoir. Olivas, Monte Cristos, Fuentes, you name it, they've got it. Havana Smoke Shop, 2 locations in the metro.